So in the past few weeks, we've had some pretty heavy topics. We've talked a lot about things that can get you down and feel hopeless. But we don't want to stop there because there is hope. We're called to carry the hope. As Christians, we are the hands and feet of Jesus that carry the hope for eradicating injustice. So what I want to talk about today is just a few ways that we can do that. We're not going to cover everything, but I would encourage you to look this up more, look into it, and talk about it with your family and friends. The human condition is to suffer. Everyone suffers injustice in one way or another, and everyone is also called to, when we identify injustice, to help people enter into their suffering, carry their cross, and carry them to the hope of the resurrection. One of my favorite passages and one of my favorite stories from the Passion is when Saint Veronica approaches Jesus. She sees him suffering a terrible injustice, and she can't stop it. She can't do anything about it. She wishes she could, but what does she do? She approaches him and simply takes her veil and wipes his face clean. His bloody, sweaty, beaten face. She wipes it clean. I think that's true for a lot of us. We see injustice. We think, well, I can't stop it, so what can I do about it? We want to stop it. We never want to see it happen. But that doesn't mean that we aren't supposed to be active in carrying hope for those who are suffering. So how does the church instruct us to be carriers of hope? How does the church call us to be Saint Veronica in our daily lives? Well, there actually is a framework for that. There's a list of 7 principles, and they're called the 7 Principles of Catholic Social Teaching. And some of you may have heard of these. Some of you may have studied them for confirmation or just on your own. But I'm just going to list them really quick so you can be familiar with them. It's life and dignity of the human person, call to family, community, and participation, rights and responsibilities, option for the poor and vulnerable, dignity of work and the rights of workers, solidarity, and care for creation. Now, I could expand upon each of these principles and go down a laundry list of things to give you examples of how to live these out. That would take us the whole semester. It would take a really long time because there's many, many ways, and it's not going to look the same for everyone on how we ought to live these. So instead, I'm just going to focus on 2 key terms that kind of form the backbone of all of these teachings. Those 2 terms are dignity and solidarity. Solidarity is a principle of itself and dignity is a principle of itself, but they really do form the basis for all the other principles as well, directly or indirectly. So for those of you who know me, you know this part of my talk is often affectionately or not affectionately referred to as Words with Whitney. Freshmen, I love words. Words are fun. I really enjoy knowing where they come from and how these words were used in their most traditional form, because I think sometimes a lot gets lost in translation from biblical text and old ancient writings to today, to how we use them. We throw words around a lot in our vernacular, and sometimes they can be devalued. So for the freshmen out there, this is just a quick introduction to Words with Whitney. So first we'll take dignity. We hear about this all throughout our studies of Catholicism because it is a big part of what we believe as Catholics and really Christians. But we also hear it thrown around all the time in culture. But do we really pause and think about what dignity means and where it comes from? Like, what was the term? How was it used in its original form? So most originally, it comes from Latin and French terms that mean a state of being worthy, a state of honor. It was used to indicate an elevated office. So think about how people treat the royal family, or how people treat, someone of a high rank in the military or political office. They are treated in accordance with their elevated rank. But we all have dignity, so we all share in that elevated rank. So therefore, we ought to live our lives as if every single person we encounter has a special place, a special position that is higher than what we might see when we encounter them. Solidarity. We hear this word a lot, and it also comes from a Latin and French term, and its most original meaning and use was firm and undivided. So, as Christians, we believe in the mystical body of Christ, an undivided whole. So when you hurt yourself and let's say you break your leg, you could say, my leg is hurt. Or you could say, I am hurt because I have a broken leg. So that latter portion is how we ought to live. When someone is hurting in the body of Christ, we're all hurt. The whole body is hurt. Maybe that one person is suffering an injustice, but it affects all of us and how we function and live. So, with those two things in mind, we take those encounters as ways to show people their elevated rank and our belief that when they suffer, we all suffer, and then lead them through that to carry hope. So what are some ways that maybe we do that? I think it's probably often seen as giving money to the poor, donating your clothes that you don't wear anymore, contributing to a food drive. And yes, those are very good things that we should absolutely do as much as we can. That's definitely not a question. But how do we enter more deeply into their suffering with them and carrying their crosses with them? Maybe, for example, you're shopping for Angel Tree. Christmas is coming up. You're shopping for Angel Tree and you pray for the child that you're shopping for. Or you're donating clothes that you maybe wore last season but want to donate them for this season. You can pray for the person that's going to purchase or be donated those clothes. Helps you unite with that person, feel their pain and their suffering, but then you're also providing them hope because now they're clothed, or now they're going to have some little joyful gift to open on Christmas. So just a couple of ways there. I don't think many people, when they're begging or when they're asking for help, I don't think they're treated as human. I think a lot of times people are like here and just kind of in passing. And this became clear to me actually pretty recently. There was a man in the rain asking for help. He was standing outside Walmart and he was holding a sign. Most of them say, homeless, please help, or, hungry, please help. His sign said, please at least smile. Please at least smile. So I think understanding that these people who need our help, yes, they need our help, but they also need us to see them and to treat them as people. So just as you're going through and as you're thinking about how you can live out these 7 principles, as you're talking about this with your friends or your families or researching online, think about those 2 things. The prayer part is really big, but also just treating someone as a human, treating someone with dignity and expressing solidarity, even if it's just giving them a smile, even if you don't have cash on you or whatever to help them, food. Just give them a smile. Let them know that they're loved. So I urge you all to think about this more, talk about it more, pray about it more, figure out how you individually are called to carry the hope.